Welcome to the Voices of Nature and Faith. In this podcast, I'll interview Islamic scholars, environmentalists, activists, artists, and thinkers who provide unique perspectives on the environment. Our objective is to highlight Islamic teachings on the environment and encourage listeners to take concrete steps towards environmental conservation. In today's very first episode, I'll be interviewing Raef, a Muslim singer and songwriter. He's more commonly known for his career in music, but he also runs a social media platform called the Muslim Hunterhood, where he explores outdoor activities like bushcraft, hunting, and all sorts of survival skills. Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How's it going, Mohsin?
Good, alhamdulillah.
Before I answer your question, would you like me to introduce myself to you and the audience, perhaps?
Yes, please.
Sure. My name is Raef, and music. I write songs, and I enjoy the outdoors very much. It's a big part of my life. I enjoy hunting. I enjoy hiking. I enjoy bushcrafting. I raise rabbits. And so I'm so happy to be here with my dear brother Mohsin on this podcast and have this conversation.
Yeah, it's a pleasure having you on this.
Awesome. So what's your first question for me, Mohsin?
What inspired you to create music and have a connection with nature? And especially, I'm going to talk to you about your social media platform, Muslim Hunterhood.
That's right. Well, music is my profession, and I've been doing it for quite a while now. Music and writing has just always been my preferred method of expression. It's something that I really enjoy doing. I enjoy the creative process. I enjoy the challenge of expressing my thoughts and feelings through words and rhyme that fit melody. And it's something that I find a lot of peace and purpose in, which I also find a lot of peace and purpose in nature. So that's the overlap with music and being in the outdoors and enjoying nature. As for hunting, and I have a platform called Muslim Hunterhood, where I just document my time in the woods, hunting and bushcrafting and hiking and cooking. I love cooking as well. But the beautiful thing I find about hunting in particular is it compels me to study an animal and to learn about the animal that I'm pursuing to hunt, whether it be a white-tailed deer or a rabbit or a turkey or whatever. And the more I learn about the animal, the more I appreciate Allah's creation, the more I appreciate the balance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala created. Because with each animal that I study, I find that the animal serves a purpose in Allah's creation, in His balance, in this universe. Even though the animal itself may not know its purpose, it fulfills its purpose in the environment, the way that the world is designed. And this is something that I really appreciate about hunting, because hunting connects you to that purpose, that you fulfill a particular purpose as a predator, right? And you recognize that the animals that you're hunting are prey animals, and each serves its purpose in the balance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created in the universe. And so when you are a Muslim hunter, there's a level of respect and submission that can only be recognized when you pursue an animal through hunting. You can appreciate that same balance through reading books, and even farmers, they have an opportunity to appreciate that balance as well, because they're harvesting fruits and they're planting seeds and they're raising crops. But even for farmers who raise cattle, it's the same idea. But hunting in particular is more primal. It's almost like there's this puzzle that you're trying to solve when you're pursuing an animal. And so you have more opportunities to appreciate the balance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has created as a Muslim hunter.
Wow, mashallah. So every career has its ups and downs. So what was one of the biggest challenges you've faced in your career, and how did you push through it?
So I'm assuming you're talking about my career in music. When it comes to anything in the creative space, music in particular, filmmaking, all of that, for me, the biggest challenge that I continue to have is just to be consistently inspired. Because a lot of times when I'm creating a song or involved in any production, I'm very keen on making it purposeful. I'd love for my work to be impactful. And in order for something to have an impact in the way that I want it, it needs to be inspired. It can't just be transactional, it can't be dry. So sometimes you're not inspired, and so you don't feel inspired, you don't feel compelled, you don't feel like you want to write about something. And that's one of the reasons, again, bringing it back to nature, why I love nature. Every time I go out into the woods, every time I spend a moment alone in the woods, every time I interact with the creation of Allah, I feel inspired. And a lot of my songs are inspired through nature, are inspired because of nature, because of Allah's creation.
Hmm. And my third question is, how does being in nature influence your connection with Allah, like hunting and
Absolutely. So like hunting and what else? What were you asking? Just like being in the woods?
just being in the woods and indulging in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's creations?
Being in nature for me reminds me of Allah. It's very simple for me. It's a form of dhikr, a form of remembrance. You know, when you sit there and you say Subhanallah and you think about, okay, Subhanallah, you say Alhamdulillah, you're saying Alhamdulillah. But for me, when I go and I see the sunrise, or I see the creatures in a pond or in a stream, or when I observe a white-tailed deer moving through the woods and 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 looking for food in a particular way, this all reminds me of the Creator. You know, I raise rabbits, and watching the process of rabbits giving birth and then the mom taking care of the rabbits. Who taught this rabbit how to do any of this? There's no rabbit university that these rabbits go to learn how to care for the young. This is all from Allah. And so these miracles, and when you see the delicate balance that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made on earth and how perfect it is, then you have no option but to be in awe and to love him even more, to be thankful to him. And to be, as a Muslim hunter, you are extra thankful and you show incredible amounts of gratitude when Allah gives you a gift in the form of harvesting an animal. Because any hunter would know that you can go out and hunt for many days and you may not get a chance or an opportunity to harvest an animal. Same with fishing. So when it does happen, of course, you're happy that you have this harvest, but you're also thankful.
Hmm.
And the first words that should that should come out of the mouth of a Muslim when they successfully harvest an animal is Alhamdulillah. It should be Alhamdulillah. All praise and thanks due to Allah. And so, yeah, being in nature, I find no easier way to connect to Allah more than being in nature.
Yeah, mashallah, that's an amazing perspective. When it comes to creating your content, what influences you or inspires you the most?
What do you mean by content? Like
Whether it
my
be music,
songs?
yeah.
Well, for me, my music is a reflection of whatever's going on in my life most of the time. When I'm going through a difficult time, or when I'm going through a happy time, or when I'm faced with a challenge, a lot of these expressions and emotions that I have, the best way for me to express them personally is through writing and music, right? And so that has been the biggest influence on a lot of the music and songs that I create. A lot of the songs that I create for children has a different purpose, and in that I'm hopefully planting seeds of love for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger in the hearts of a lot of the children that listen to my music. I have a platform called Mini Muslims where we create songs and stories for Muslim kids around the world, and so that influences the direction of the songs in that platform. Yeah, so it's usually just related to things that are happening in my life and me trying to express it in the best way that I can.
Yeah. And finally, if there's one message that you would like people to take away from your work, and this is like through your music and especially through your social media platform, what would it be?
Well, for those who are artists or who love the arts or who love to write or play an instrument or paint, my advice is to try to make as many mistakes as possible. And I know that sounds a little weird. It's not often nowadays with social media, it's not popular to pursue mistakes. And I'm not saying try to make a mistake. What I'm saying is don't be afraid of making mistakes, especially when it comes to art. The more you do something, the more you play an instrument and you make mistakes playing that instrument, or the more that you write and you're struggling with it, the more mistakes you make, the more opportunities you have to learn and become experienced in that form of art. So if you are an artist, I would encourage you to do more of that art and not Don't worry about what people say and how many likes or shares you get. Do it because you enjoy doing it. And try to find people who are in that artist space that will help you get better. And always try to look for ways to improve your skill, to improve your talent, to improve how you play an instrument, how you write, how you sing, how you paint, how you film, how you use a camera for photography. And there's infinite ways where you can learn, but you just have to do it. You have to do it, and you have to do it a lot. You have to be consistent. As for people who are looking to hunt or go outdoors or being involved in nature, my advice is just to get out there. Move away from the man made world, move away from your screens, move away from the concrete and the metal and the plastic. Touch the earth with your feet, right? Be out there in nature and try to be out there alone and think about creation. Think about Allah. Think about your purpose in this world. And we for many of you who live in the United States or who live in an area where you have access to nature, make use of that access. A lot of folks who live in big cities may have to drive an hour outside of the city in order to touch a tree or to touch the earth the way that it was, the way that it is. And so that would be my advice: is to get out there, move away from the man-made world, the concrete, the metal, the plastic, and go touch the earth and remember Allah.
Yeah, it's like there's like an environmental illiteracy in some people.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. It's because we've been put in these boxes, and people think that's the way life should be, but it isn't. There's so much more to life outside of these walls and windows. A lot of times people say, "Oh, it's too cold, it's too hot." If it's too cold, wear a jacket. If it's too hot, wear some sunscreen and put on some sunglasses or a hat or something. At every season, there's something beautiful to witness in the outdoors. And of course, if you're looking to get into hunting, look up the rules and regulations in where you live. Try to find out what animals you can pursue. Maybe start with fishing. Maybe start with squirrel hunting. Get into that world just step by step. You'll really enjoy it if you want to get closer to nature and you want to learn more about the creation of Allah.
But yeah, that mashallah. Thank you so much for, sharing all this and making time to come on this meeting. It's been an amazing conversation and
You're very welcome, Mohsin, and I'm so happy that you're doing this podcast, and I'm so happy to spend time with you and to talk about two things that I love very much, which is music and nature and hunting.
well, thank you so much for coming on here, and inshallah I'll see you if you come down to California for another AWI event.
Sounds fantastic, Mohsin. I would love to see you, inshallah.
Inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.